Marcia. We're University of Missouri Extension Master Gardeners of Greater Kansas City.
If your herbs are actively growing, you can start harvesting. And actually, without regular harvesting, your herbs will end up with long stems and leaves that dry up and fall off. Regular harvesting of leaves encourages leaf growth and delays flowering or bolting.
Once the herb flowers, the flavors begin to decline. When preparing to harvest, keep your herbs lightly sprayed to keep them clean from soil and free from any pests. Harvest on a day after the morning dew has dried out, but before the sun has had a chance to evaporate the oils that provide the herb's flavor and aroma.
Annual herbs like basil, cilantro, dill can be cut back by half without any problem. Larger leaves can be pinched off for you. You will harvest the annual herbs right up until frost, and if your herbs are in a container, you can even extend the harvest by bringing them inside. Harvest some annuals with Lorna and me in my garden, and Extension Master Gardeners Claire and John at the Platte County Community Gardens.
We're going to show you what basil does this time of the year in July. We want to cut that flower off just before it blooms to encourage more growth.
Basil loves a good trim, so don't be hesitant. You will have no problems cutting it back by 1/3 to 1/2 of its height. If you want seeds, whether an annual like the dill or a perennial fennel, you will need to let the plant flower and mature, let the seeds yellow or darken, then cut the whole seed head from the stem.
Perennial herbs like sage, rosemary, or thyme should not be cut down by more than 1/3. An exception to this is perennial chives. Harvest the chive leaves by cutting them all the way to the ground. Stop harvesting the perennial herbs about 1 month before freeze, so that the plants have time to prepare for overwintering. Here in Kansas City, we range from zones 5B to 6. Our average freeze is mid-October, so your last harvest should be around September 15th.
Now we'll harvest a few perennials in my garden and with Extension Master Gardener Mary Jane at the Platte County Community Garden. This sage was planted this year, so harvesting by 1/3 really encourages regrowth. In subsequent years, sage will get really woody and can benefit by an early spring pruning. This is a new this year rosemary, so we'll harvest it back about 1/3.
We're looking for the pale color of the stem down to where it gets dark. That's about as much as you want to harvest off that stem.
Culinary herbs are best fresh. They can be refrigerated for about a week in an unsealed bag.
No matter how you choose to preserve your herbs, clean them by lightly spraying off the debris, shaking gently, and laying out on a towel to dry, and remove any damaged leaves.
Drying is the most traditional way to preserve your herbs. Spread them on a rack or towels and turn them often to expose each side to the air. Or you can tie your herbs and hang them up in small bundles or in paper bags with holes punched in the sides. Expose the herbs to warm, dry air out of the sun until the leaves feel completely dry and crumple easily. If you're drying some of the herbs with thicker leaves like basil, chives, lemon balm, mint, or tarragon, you need to take care to protect them against mold. Give them plenty of airflow and in single layers, keep them hanging or on racks. This will help prevent problems.
When air drying, the herbs should dry in 3 to 4 days. If you need a little more drying, you can finish drying them in the oven set at 125 degrees for just a few minutes. Home dehydrators are great appliances for drying if you're lucky enough to own one.
When your herbs are crumbly, store them in airtight containers in a cool, dry, dark area to protect their color and fragrance. Glass is best, then hard plastic containers. Least desirable are plastic bags.
You want to try and avoid crushing the herbs until ready to use to keep the flavor fresh. Dry herbs keep flavor about a year. Freezing is another easy method to preserve your harvest. Chop up your herbs, fill ice cube or freezer trays about half full of water, and add a generous tablespoon of herbs to the cube. You may want to use oil instead of water, and if so, it's easier to premix in a bowl before filling your trays. Use about 1/3 to 1/2 cup of oil to 2 cups of chopped herbs. Use a neutral flavored oil like canola if you want to keep the herb flavor prominent, or use olive oil to create complementary flavors. Frozen herbs can only be used for cooking as they will wilt once thawed. Use them frozen, and for best results, don't refreeze. Frozen herbs will also last around a year.
With a little planning, your preserved herbs will keep you cooking until next growing season rolls around. Thanks for watching. Drop your favorite recipe in the comments. We'd love to try out your favorites. And until next time, see you in the garden.